Ancient forces of nature dwell within Echovald, and the Untamed have learned to channel them through the bond they share with their pets. Their earth-shaking hammer blows keep enemies dazed and off balance, while their pets' attacks are bolstered by raw, primal energy. The power of nature flows back and forth between the Untamed and their animal companion, empowering their killing blows.
Hello guys, welcome to the channel. This is Paper Roll. In today's video we are talking about the Untamed, new elite specialization for Ranger End of Dragon expansion. So let me start by saying I really appreciate the way they doing the trailer from a visual perspective right now. It is pretty and they showing us slow motion shots and cool animation. It just make you enjoy watching anyway. But however, the trailer is incredibly confusing because it leaves you with more questions than you probably start before watching it. So I guess it's not really a big problem since we're getting information like 2 days after that, but it is a bit confusing on every aspect. So it's gonna be a lot of guessing and conclusion on what we are watching instead of actually information or takes off. Now let's get into the important stuff. First, the Untamed is basically the bunny thumper. You do a lot of CC using your hammer and setting up enemies for bit to kill and for you also to do nice damage to them. Unlike Guild Wars 1, to my understanding, this one buffs themselves as they buff their bit, so you can be having multiple sources of damage, and I think it can offer you an idea to build a character that doesn't necessarily focus too much on the bit. So you would have enough options. It's not really completely an AI thing. Rangers have pets and they are part of the ranger kit. They cannot be ignored, but also they cannot be everything, and I think we are seeing this as a part of how probably the Untamed is gonna work. But it left us really confused with this idea or mechanic that they called the primal forces or whatever. Let's call it primal state. So it moves between you and your bit, but nothing suggests it's maybe passive. It is active like a mechanic that you can move willingly. Does it move with a specific condition? Like we see the bit fight with this state for time. Like it keep hitting one hit after another and then it finally go away. Even after doing its own skill completely, like the one you control, everything, it still have the same state until it moves to the ranger, and we don't know how long it will last. Is it a time thing? We have no idea yet, and that's why I said there's not much information to go around about this. But however, there is few things also didn't happen in the video that can suggest something. If it's work like a bunny thumper basically, then it's a lot of CC and a power melee damage, and that's what seems happening here. There was no range, there wasn't projectiles or anything that would suggest range, and there was no any condition application. We haven't seen poison, even blinding or anything, so it is direct damage with CC, which not necessarily bad thing on its own. It's another option, and ranger can always carry 2 weapons, so you can have range and you can have melee. It depends on how the hammer is gonna work or flow with you. Is it just few hits with CC? Is there no any defensive capability? There is no movement? It like depends a lot on how this weapon is gonna function and how this primal state gonna work. And there is also another point about it. They called it that it empower your killing blows, but does that mean it's buffing your damage only, or that you can go with different traits that you can empower your tankiness or granting boons to be more tanky instead of more damaging? How many styles of playing can we have with this state? this could be just a generic talk, so it buff you completely, like all your stats. It could be granting different boons, for example, on different things, so some of them like might, some of them like protection. So it's not necessarily work exactly as described, or it's literally a flat pure increased damage. It could be adding a mechanic or a specific hit to another hit. We don't know how it works at all. Now, the idea of using your bit actually to be focused and make it dangerous and can affect your enemy is really enjoyable with Ranger, and I like that the directions they seem to move in, at least that you can have both. The idea of this state can be between you and your bit, shareable, that it move between you. It doesn't make you stuck with the bit doing the things that need to be done, like the old droids builds in World vs. World, when you keep healing and tanking and kiting and your bit do insane damage. And neither it is basically you do the damage and the bit is something extra that can be killed easily or just around. However, that leaves us with other questions. Will it be using 2 bits or 1 bit? We've seen only 1 bit in the entire presentation here in the trailer, so I'm not sure we're gonna be using 2, but that could be simply what they wanted to show. It's not a big deal, but it has to have a trade-off, or that's what AreaNet is always going with now with every elite specialization. So what it's gonna lose for this state? And if the bit simply can be really this effective, once it's killed, what happened to the primal state? How it moved between us? Will I be the only one who has it at this point? Well, that can be extremely more buffing than my bit having it to begin with. Like how it will work? Is it a cooldown thing? Like it to move between me and my bit on a cooldown, so even if the bit's dead, I will still have the same cooldown? Will I be punished for it? So this would be the heaviest punished Ranger class, and that can create a lot of problems. Like I said, we're left with too many questions that we don't really get, and I hope they would make it somehow that this Ranger can actually protect their bit better, or make it really difficult for the bit to die. Soul Beasts, for example, can revive their bits on a 10-second cooldown right now. So I wish they can have this idea also of a unique strength to their bit, even if they would take only 1 bit. Now, moving to another point on that, is they showed an old bit, the Tiger from Hearthstone. So why? I'm really confused why. Like for the Soul Beast, we got actually the new Ranger bits. We got Iboga in the trailer. We've seen the new bits in the trailer. So it's not about lore thing or whatever. Why didn't they show the new bit? There is no new bits? If there is no new bits, that would be extremely underwhelming, and I don't know how to feel about it. It's why? I think it will not do that. They will give us new bits. People want Phoenix, want new ones, like this one I think called Wallow from the Cobalt Forest. Like there is a lot of ideas that we can go with, so I hope we will get new bits. We are still using bit for this class, and there should be new bits. Now try to watch with me as we watch this video. The new animations or some of the skills it does, we don't really know what's utility and which weapon skills, or at least some of them. You can notice them obviously. As you see the start here, the Ranger have resistance on them to begin with. As you see this blue orb that connected with lighting, this is actually resistance, and this is a primal state that's applied to the bit. And now it's few melee hits, and as you see the guard choose to hit the Ranger. Look at it with me here. As you see this hit on the Ranger itself, its character moves, so the Ranger aggro the guard or this NPC anyway, not the bit, which is basically normal because Tiger is a low toughness bit. This probably I would guess running already some power stats, so it doesn't have this much toughness, but they would put him on the aggro level, not actually the bit itself mostly. So the primal state on the bit did not buff its toughness that much, or that's what we can guess. But this is gonna change through the video. You're gonna find some NPCs attacking the bit and some other attacking the Ranger, and that make it like I said, again, more questions than actual answers. We don't know if it's gonna buff it somehow that it can be tankier so it can aggro or not, because the NPC keep choosing differently. We move to this next skill, a wave of hands that make basically 6 seed of life, the thing that droid use, skill 2. But it's a different animation. It is green this time, which I think is normal. A game will always need to use their assets to more like a maximum value, as long as they don't just keep copy pasting. It is I think it's fine. You don't always have to make new things every time. But anyway, the skill is basically 6 and it is really wide, decently. I wouldn't say really big range, but it's a decent range that make it easier to land. It's feel whatever this skill do is feel rewarding and enjoyable, but we don't know what it does. I think it's a utility because the weapon didn't do any animation for it, so I think it is a utility skill that they shown us here. And they have a really great shot here in the explosion of those seeds while the tiger hitting the enemy. Now as you see, those hits impacts go on every target that the ranger hit, and then this knockdown will go like walk. Didn't affect the area underground, it didn't do a shape of like impact. It actually every individual got the effect of it. Watch how it's gonna work. And we have here a whirling attack, something really simple with a hammer, like engineer for example, and this is an attack should be empowered by the primal state basically, and that was a skill that you can control for the tiger, and it do a lot of damage, but we didn't get any idea of how high the damage, because basically it didn't kill him with one hit. They were already in fight. It's already taken some hit from them, and then the tiger hit him with this attack, so we don't know how high the damage was. And as you see here, another example of the guard attacking the pit, not the ranger. So the pit is the one who aggroed at this point, and that's why I said we don't even get an information like this of how the pit can be increased to be tanky or something. It's just unknown. And the primal state got moved to the ranger, and the guard was still looking to the pit, so I'm not sure if it affected the toughness at all, and I think it didn't. So it might be a flat powering thing, like for damage only, not for anything else, but I'm sure it should be more than that. It would add some mechanics or stuff, traits that work with it, do something specific on it, or other options. It's not pure passive thing. So I'm not sure how it's gonna work, how it's gonna merge with the traits anyway, but I think there will be a lot of build potential in it, and with other even ranger skills and with the new skills that we don't know what they are. And I think we saw only one utility of them, which is those seeds stuff, which if this is how they look, I think they might be extremely exciting, or naturally style and planty or something, but we're gonna wait and see. Now something else they said in the trailer, which is basically that keep his enemies dazed and disoriented. Well, we have seen a lot of hits and we've seen like only one knockdown, so we didn't see much CC at all. Like Bunny Sambar with CC stuff, this one didn't do anything. Like there is no interruption. It didn't look to me, unless I missed something, but there wasn't any CC, just but this knockdown. Only one knockdown we have seen in the entire trailer. So I wouldn't really guess it will be exactly like the idea of Bunny Sambar, or even that similar to it completely. I mean, it is obviously similar, but not as much as people guess. And I guess that's a bit healthier for the game anyway, because you can just keep CCing people, and with the power coefficient in the competitive of no damage for CC, how a weapon like this would function? It would be a nightmare. They would add damage here, and most of the time weak damage here. It would be a problem to use, especially that it's pure melee. You would be locking people down and have only like one reward. So what's the rewards? The damage from the primal state. It's really difficult to predict how this is gonna function, and we can still always have another weapon, or completely even leave this weapon, I guess. So we can have a range option with this melee option, but I am not sure how the defensive ability is gonna come from if this weapon have no defense at all. I wish it could have some defense style, some movement skill, or gonna be really unrewarding to use. So obviously we didn't see anything that would suggest that or otherwise, and we're gonna wait to know that when the stream comes. Now let's talk also about how I feel about this. You know, I do not like power play. Power in Guild Wars in general, or power in general, in every game probably I played, I'm not really big fan of the idea of hitting to get specific damage. I like the idea of conditions, this trick of doing the damage and your enemy will keep dying on their own, or basically taking damage clicking by their own. I loved condition. I loved this idea of Blade in Guild War being tanky with it also. So a melee heavy CC power weapon, it doesn't feel like it's gonna be for me at all. I'm still fine with that. I could take the class if I see any different build potential with it that would suit my own playstyle, but this is a personal opinion. A lot of people enjoy power over condition, for example. So like I said, this is my own opinion or feeling about this class since I'm a main ranger. But even with the hammer itself, if it's offer something that's suitable on the build, like I use in my main druid build, if you're watching my World vs. World video, for example, I use staff, which is a power and a healing support weapon with my condition damaging style. So you can mix a lot of things, which is the true beauty in build craft in Guild Wars 2. So I would see still a place for hammer. There's no problem. I could use it in PvE if I like a build. Maybe it will push me finally to actually like power play for ranger, for example, or be invested in any power style. My problem is if you make a class that forces specific play style, like power only or condition only, it's something I don't like in general, because it was never in the spirit of Guild Wars 2 to force a specific direction, and some classes doesn't have it, so why other classes would? If this is your idea of making a class always specifically directed to power or condition, at least that would make sense, but we have something like Harbinger or even Virtuoso can be played with condition and power, so why have Ranger only stuck on one thing? I don't think it's gonna be stuck on one thing. I think maybe the weapon would be stuck, but not necessarily the class itself. You can always run different styles and different stat gear and find ways to make it actually functional. So even if it is a power heavy, you can bet I will be trying to find ways to make it really good condition spec also. So let's summarize what we have seen so far. It is a melee power spec that it's basically heavy. It has no condition application. It has boons. It was suggested through at least seeing resistance in the start, so it will be some boon application. And it is a bit heavy, and it switch between you and it. We don't know if it's going to use one bit or more. We don't know how the primary state work, if you have any control on it, if it's cooldown based, how much interaction would have with traits or even skills. We don't know anything about how it's function. Is it gonna buff your damage only? It's gonna work power only? If it's gonna buff your all stats? If it's going to even give unique boons? Most likely it's gonna have a lot of different iteration and traits that work on it, but we don't know anything or what we're gonna get yet. So I guess that's it for a trailer less than 1 minute, and we're gonna have to wait and see for the stream. Tell me if I missed anything or if you have seen something that I didn't see. Forget to sub, like, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.